Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Outside, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I'd like to do is to take a look at 5 watches from the nominations of the Grand Prix d'Horologie de Genève, the GPHG for 2025. And I wanted to find the most interesting horology. Unfortunately, all of the ones I found, I can't afford. There's some people who can, but I'm not one of them. The purpose of this, they'll say, well, why bother? Is that it gives you an idea of what the very best in horology looks like. And what I try to do is find the same horology or similar horology in watches that I can afford. So let's take a look at these. Beginning with Raul Pages RP2, it's got a large balance wheel. And the thing about a large balance wheel is that it has greater inertia, therefore greater stability. Which means is that as it's going around, it'll have some knocks and stuff, but it's not going to throw it off its constant beat. And so that's important. Now the one that Raul Pages has, this thing is 12.50 centimeters, and you can see the picture of it there, and the diameter of the watch is 38 millimeters, and so you can sort of get an idea of the size of this. Now this was from the chronometers in history that were originally developed for seafaring, and the reason that chronometers were extremely important for navigation, it gave the captain and the crew, I guess, the longitudinal position of the ship, and so they became extremely important. This one has a counterweighted lever which enhances the stability of the escapement, adding to precision. So, and I love the simplicity of this. This is just I love that watch. Okay, this next one, I gotta tell you, it's my favorite, by Luca, Soprana, Derek Pratt, Remontoir Egalite. It's got everything I really admire in a watch. Also a big fan of Derek Pratt. His stuff is really one of these brilliant watchmakers, and again, he I think he's died in 2011 or sometime around that, and he was a fairly young guy, and it was cancer or something that killed him. But I was so glad to see this watch, and it's even named Derek Pratt. The big surprise is that for years Derek Pratt worked for and was identified with Urban Jurgensen, and so I don't know, as far as I know, Luca Soprana is an independent. Boy, I tell you, a lot of talent. You can see the 2 ruby pallets. If you spot that, there's sort of a fork over on the right side. That's the detent escapement, the arm coming down. And then if you look at the escape wheel, and the escape wheel has the teeth that sort of jagged looking teeth on it. And then you look below that and you see a little spring. The spring is the Remontoir Egalite. Now what it does, it rewinds. It's the job of the mainspring is to rewind the hairspring, and so by constantly rewinding it, it has constant force. As you know, when you unwind the mainspring, the problem is that you have too much power at one end and not enough at the other, and so you have this inconsistency. A Remontoir Egalite is being rewound all the time. Gives you a constant force throughout the watch. And here's a watch. It's with just, boy, I'd like that. I'd also like, I don't know, 180,000 Swiss francs, whatever they cost. Great watch. Now this next one, the Parmigiani Fleurier. Now this is really funny. I believe this watch was in the category for iconic. And I thought, oh, this watch is so much more than that. It has, I mean, a Rattrapant is having sort of this, it's usually identified with chronometers where you have these two timers, and like you'll set one like a race with two horses, and you want to time them both simultaneously. Well, a Rattrapant has time for each one of them. What this one does, it's a GMT, and it has two silver hands and a gold hand. The gold hand is the GMT hand, and that whole concept I really like. At about 8 o'clock, you can, off on the side, there's a little pusher, and the pusher is what's used for setting and hiding and unhiding the GMT hand. So if you don't want to use the GMT hand, you set it in, it hides behind the hour hand. And it's just like a time only hour and minute hand. Wonderful idea in and of itself. Now it works, the GMT hour works on a 12-pointed star wheel to advance it from the home position in 1 hour increments. So while the Rattrapant uses the familiar heart-shaped cam seen on typical chronographs, the other one has the other one is used with this device, which by the way was the help put together by Agenor, to move and hide the GMT hand. Again, this is not super complicated, but just really sort of a neat thing. H. Moser and Company's, the Streamliner Alpine Driver's Edition. Now, this particular watch is, there's a link, a connection between H. Moser and Company and the Alpine drivers. And so what they did, this movement, is the movement's called the HMC 700, but the heart of that movement is Agenor's Agengraph chronometer movement, which is just like, I think the best way to describe it is just revolutionary. It came out, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, something like that, but just an amazing movement. It's unlike all of the other ones. And what Moser did is to create it in a skeletonized fashion. Now, because it's skeletonized, you can see parts of it that you'd never see before. On the front, you can see the rotor. It's an automatic, which is another interesting thing. And so, I mean, with this particular chronograph. And so it's just another wonderful watch that I can't afford. But someday, who knows? Okay, now the final one, I think a lot of people have been waiting for years. Kari Voutilainen and a group bought Urban Jurgensen. I got one of the original Urban Jurgensens when the sale went through, because they got rid of all the old stock, and I was able to pick one up at something I could afford. But this one I can't afford as much as I'd like it. What makes it even more special, Andreas Streller, along with Kari Voutilainen, developed this movement together. And Andreas Streller is another, just his favorite for so many reasons. I think the thing about Streller is that he cares about horology over just about, I mean, more so than business. Sometimes great watchmakers get bound up in business and make a mess of both business and the horology. Streller's the guy who doesn't. Andreas Streller is like, he's helped out so many different watch companies. For example, Maurice Lacroix, which was using ETA movements and such. Beautiful watches, really fantastic watches, but and doing interesting things with the movements that they had. But Andreas Streller came along and created a chronograph for Maurice Lacroix. And that's I'm sure he was compensated for it. But the thing is, he doesn't worry about, oh, well, they got this and I don't have it, something like that. Great guy. And so both he and a very talented Kari Voutilainen put this watch together. It has, first of all, they use Stellar's precision moon phase, and they put in a double wheel natural escapement. Down at the bottom, I don't know if you can see it, there was an image I had that got of a double escapement that was drawn by George Daniels. And you can see that it has two escape wheels, and with the pallet fork bouncing back and forth between the two, and they're counter rotating, so they deliver impulses directly to the balance wheel. so this watch is really very special. It's a perpetual calendar with a double wheel escapement. Another watch that I can't afford. So anyway, those are the five. Now there are other ones I'm sure in the in nominations that people will say, hey, what about this? And I would like to hear them. Say, hey, why didn't you put this one in? This is really neat. Let's hear about it. Opportunity to subscribe if you like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.